Hey friends, today we're going to be working on this really cool Jeff Koons mixed media project. So, I'm going to talk to you about what you need, supplies and everything, so make sure you're listening really well so you can go grab the supplies. All right friends, in order to make this really awesome Jeff Koons mixed media project, here are the supplies you are going to need. All right, you're going to need some oil pastels. You're going to need one of these tracers, a pencil, an ink dauber. You're going to need a piece of either dark blue paper, a big piece for your background, either dark blue or I put some light blue back there as well. Everyone's going to need a half sheet of green for our grass. And then you get to choose between these four colors for your actual balloon animal. So bright pink, yellow, teal, or magenta. Okay, so dark blue, big paper, half a sheet of green, and then one of these colors. You choose which one you're going to do. I think I will do pink for today. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put this aside for a little bit and work here with our actual balloon animal paper. Okay, so you're going to get this tracer. We need to fit 7 of these across our paper. So it's going to be kind of a tight fit, but we don't want them to be touching. So here's the kind of trick that I have figured out that works. If I start pretty close to the edge, but not quite touching, let me fix my camera here. Okay, so then I'm just going to trace this. And then I'm going to do each one about a finger, a little bit smaller than a finger width apart. And I'm going to be able to fit 7 of these on here. So let's start tracing. Uh-oh, messed up there. If they're touching, what's gonna happen is when I am tracing them with my ink dauber, they're gonna be overlapping, and I don't really want them to be overlapping. I kind of want them to be separate, so that's why we don't want them to be touching. I'm almost there. Here's my number 6. And right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Perfect. Okay. Once you have all 7 of your ovals traced, you're going to grab your ink dauber. Now let's talk about these ink daubers. We don't use them a ton, but we have used them before. These are just really cool bottles filled with India ink. They have a little sponge on the end, and you can just draw with them like marker. But here's my warning. Please do not squeeze them, or else ink will go everywhere. Please do not shake them, and don't leave them upside down for a long time or the ink will start dripping. You're just gonna hold it upside down and use it like a marker. And I want you to trace around those pencil lines that we just drew, making a nice bold outline. It's okay if some of them are touching. We're going to be cutting them out eventually, so as long as they're not all of them. Okay, here we go. I've got my 7 ovals. Put this away for a little bit. Okay, now we're going to add the highlights and the kind of shadowy sides of all of these. So what you're going to need is you're going to need 2 oil pastels. You're going to need a white one, and you're going to need a color that's the same shade but a little bit darker. So for pink, you could use probably the pink one. I can see it a little bit, or if you wanted to use red, you could also use red. I think I'm going to use pink and white. Okay, if you are using magenta, you're going to use a white oil pastel and a purple. If you are using teal, you're going to use white, and I'd probably use the darker blue. You want it to be darker, and this teal is probably it's too light. I can't even see it. So you want to use the darker blue for teal. And if you're using yellow, I would use white and orange. Don't use the yellow because I can't see it on here. You got to be able to see it. Okay, so I think I'm going to use for the pink. I think I can see it. Okay, I'm going to use pink, and if I don't like it, I might change to red. Oh, I forgot one thing, friends. So sorry. Before we move on, we need to draw 2 different shapes. We need to draw a triangle for the balloon animal nose, and a smaller rectangle, and that's going to be for the balloon animal's tail. And I also want to outline these guys. All right, here we go. With your white, let's start with the white. We're going to work on the right side of our paper, and we're going to just draw, oh dear, we're going to draw a curved line that follows the same line as my oval. Just a curved line. It's not touching my black, it's right next to my black. I want a nice curved, almost like a backward C or a sideways rainbow line. Pretty close to the black, but not quite on top. And we're going to go all the way across our paper and do all 7 of these ovals. We're also going to put a line inside on half of my rectangle and half of my triangle. Okay, then grab your other color. So I'm using pink for this one, and we're going to do the opposite now. Instead of doing it this way, we're going to go this way here and make almost like a C shape. And it's almost kind of closing in that shape in the middle. I think I like the pink. I think I can see it. If you don't like the pink, if it's too light, you can use red. Just make sure that whatever color you're using is related to the color paper that you have. All right, go all the way across, a nice bold line. This is our shadow. This is our shadow. The white was the highlight. And then don't forget also to do a line inside your triangle and a line inside of your rectangle. All right, you guys. We are going to go ahead and cut these out. All right, you guys. If you don't have all of your ovals, your triangle, and your rectangle cut out, pause right now, go cut out, and then come right back to here. If you do, let's move on. Okay, you're going to want to grab your big piece of blue paper. It's either going to be light blue or dark blue, whatever you chose to do. Let's grab that, and you're also going to need your ink dauber and just a pencil. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a line toward the bottom, which is going to be kind of where our grass is going to go, and we're going to have buildings back here. So what I do is I take my hand and I put it toward the bottom of my paper, and that's going to be like kind of the height where I want this line to go. So I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going to draw a line straight across. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, you guys. It's just kind of showing me where my buildings are going to be starting. Okay, using our ink dauber, we're going to be drawing some buildings in the background. Super simple buildings. We're not going to be adding crazy detail. So I'm just going to use my dauber to start drawing buildings. And these buildings are going to be connected right next to each other. So like this line is the wall of this building, and it's also the wall to this building, okay? I can make some of them have different angles, different roofs. Let's see, maybe this guy is going to have like an oval roof. And this one's going to be kind of like a skyscraper. Okay, once you have the shapes of your buildings, use your ink dauber to just add some very simple windows. Now, I'm not trying to add rectangles or squares because it's going to be a little bit hard to draw little rectangles with this dauber. So I'm just going to use very simple shapes for windows, like just horizontal lines or vertical lines or even some dots. You can draw a door if you want. Maybe I'll add a little square there. Long window here. All right, once you have all of your windows, then we are going to be done with this ink dauber. All right. This dries so fast because the ink is just, that's just the way that India ink is. Okay, so here we have our background. Let's go ahead and grab our green paper. This is going to be for our grass. What we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be tearing the top of this to make the grass look a little bit more natural. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it sideways, and with one hand I'm going to hold it, and with my other hand I'm going to start tearing. Now I don't want to just rip the whole thing because it could totally like rip really angled and cut off a bunch of my paper. And I'm not trying to make it perfectly straight. I kind of want it to look, you know, like natural. So it has some parts that are going up, some that are kind of going down. And I want to make sure that I have enough paper here that's going to fit in that little space that we drew earlier. So I don't want to cut off too much. Okay. This is going to go right down here. It shouldn't cover up too much of your buildings. If you're like, oh, it's covering up too many buildings here, then just tear off a little bit more and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so we're going to glue this guy onto our background. Just a couple of dots of glue. Should fit perfectly corner to corner. Awesome. Okay, now I got my background. Go ahead and grab your green oil pastel in your tub, and let's put a few little lines on this grass to kind of give it a little bit of texture and make it look a little bit more interesting. There we go. Awesome. All right. Once you have this, you're going to go grab your balloon animals or the shapes that we cut out, and we're going to start to add these to our background to make the balloon animal. So let's start with one of the ovals, okay? Now, you have to make sure that when we're doing these and you're gluing these, that you have the white part always kind of sticking on the upside. So I'm going to explain that to you. So you don't want part of these to have the pink on the bottom and the pink on the top. You want to have it where the white is always going to be toward the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, let's start here. And I'm going to kind of just put this down and before I glue it to make sure everything's going to fit. So here's the face of the balloon and the balloon dog. I'm going to put that triangle on the nose. That's the nose. Let's see, here's the ear. You can kind of make it stick this way. You can make it stick that way. It's totally up to you. Let's see. So here's the neck. Notice that my white is always kind of on the upside. Here is the body. And let's see, the front leg. Here is my back leg. Here's my tail, and here is the little tail there. So it's okay if it sticks off. Mine sticks up over here. It's totally fine. I just wanted to make sure I could kind of fit it on here. I don't want them overlapping too much. I just want them to kind of be touching. So once you have it situated the way you want it, and maybe you want your dog to face that way, it's totally up to you. Go ahead and start gluing these down. You can use a glue stick if you want. I like to use white glue. It's just, for me, it seems to stick better than a glue stick, but it's up to you guys. I think I'll have that ear sticking that way. So notice how I'm not overlapping too much right here, okay? I don't want it covering a bunch of things that it's just kind of, the black parts are kind of just touching. Remember to look at where your white parts are. Make sure they're all kind of matching where mine are. There's the leg. Tail. Awesome. Okay, once you have everything glued down, let's flip it over and give it a little massage. This is an excellent time for you to add your name and your class code. Okay, the last thing we have to do is let's add some clouds up here in the sky just to add a little bit more detail. Use your white oil pastel and make sure you fill it in to cover up that construction paper color. Maybe this one's going to be like half on, half off my paper. Maybe this one's going to be kind of sticking out behind this building. All right, friends, you did it. You made our Art Madness winner, Jeff Koons inspired mixed media project. Love it. So our mixed media, we used oil pastel, we used ink daubers, we used torn paper. Gorgeous. Way to go, you guys. Put it on the drying rack.